New York City drowned in white. Ethan Carter stood at the window of the 32nd floor, watching snowflakes the size of quarters slam against the glass. The forecast had called it a nor'easter, the kind that shut down highways and grounded flights, the kind that made the city hold its breath. He should have left an hour ago. But Lily was sleeping over at her friend Olivia's house tonight. And for once, Ethan didn't have to rush home to microwave dinosaur-shaped chicken nuggets or help with third-grade math homework. For once, he could stay late and finish the quarterly projection, report without guilt gnawing at his chest. The office was a ghost town. Marketing had cleared out by 4, legal by 5. Even the sales team, who usually stayed until midnight chasing West Coast deals, had abandoned their desks. All except one light, 32 floors up, corner office, floor-to-ceiling glass overlooking the harbor, Victoria Bennett's office. Ethan had worked at Bennett Innovations for 3 years. He'd been in her presence exactly 11 times. Each time he'd felt the temperature drop 5 degrees. Victoria didn't smile, didn't small talk, didn't tolerate inefficiency, excuses, or eye contact that lasted longer than necessary. She was brilliant, ruthless, untouchable, and right now, through the frosted glass walls of her office, Ethan could see her shoulders shaking. He froze. Victoria Bennett didn't cry. She didn't break. She fired people via email at 6 a.m. and closed 9-figure deals. Before lunch, she'd once told a venture capitalist to leave her building because he interrupted her twice, but there she was, hunched over her desk, head in her hands, mascara streaking down her pale cheeks like cracks in marble. Ethan's first instinct was to leave, pretend he hadn't seen, respect the distance she'd built around herself like a fortress. But then her head lifted. Their eyes met through the glass. 3 seconds, no movement, no sound. Just the howl of wind, rattling the windows and the hum of the building's ventilation system. Then she stood, walked to the door, opened it. Her voice was barely audible over the storm outside. "Help me." Ethan stepped inside. The office smelled like bergamot and cold air. Victoria's navy dress was wrinkled. Her hair, usually pulled into a perfect low bun, had come loose. Strands stuck to her damp face. "I need you to come with me," she said quietly. "Where?" "A wedding tonight, my family. At the Plaza Hotel NYC. Ethan blinked. "In this storm? Why me?" She looked at him for a long moment. Her green eyes were glassy, exhausted. "Because you won't ask questions." "I just did." "You won't ask the ones that matter." Ethan thought of Lily tucked into Olivia's sleeping bag, probably giggling over some cartoon. He thought of his empty apartment. He thought of the way Victoria's hands were trembling even though she was trying to hide them, behind her back. "What do you need me to do?" "Pretend to be my boyfriend." The words hit him like a slap. 3 months. We met at a board dinner. You made me laugh. I don't laugh often. It felt unexpected. She recited it like a script she'd memorized. "They'll ask about your background, your job, your intentions. You're head of product analytics, Yale undergrad. Widowed," Ethan corrected quietly. Victoria stopped, her expression softened. "Just a fraction. I'm sorry. 4 years ago." She nodded slowly. "Then you understand?" "Understand what?" "Why I can't go alone." Outside, the snow fell harder. The city lights blurred into a wash of gold and white. Ethan knew this was insane. Knew he should say no. Knew that walking into Victoria Bennett's personal life was like stepping onto a frozen lake without checking the ice. But something in her voice, the rawness beneath the control, made him stay. "One condition," he said. "What?" "After tonight, you tell me the truth about what I saw. About why you're really doing this." Victoria studied him, then extended her hand. "Deal." Her palm was ice cold outside. The storm intensified. The suit arrived at Ethan's apartment 40 minutes later. Charcoal gray Italian wool Tom Ford label. It fit like it had been made for him because it had been. Ethan stared at the delivery receipt. Rush tailoring, 3 measurements taken from his employee file photo. Victoria had planned this. How long had she been planning this? His phone buzzed. "Victoria's car downstairs." 8 minutes. He buttoned the shirt, nodded at the silk tie, stared at himself in the mirror. The last time he'd worn something this expensive was his wedding. Sarah had loved navy blue. He pushed the thought away and headed downstairs. The Mercedes idled at the curb, hazard lights cutting through the snow. The driver opened the rear door without a word. Victoria sat inside, transformed. Gone was the wrinkled dress and smudged makeup. She wore a dark emerald gown, sleeveless, structured, elegant. Her hair was swept up. Diamond earrings caught the streetlight. She looked like she belonged on a magazine cover, but her hands were clenched in her lap. "You clean up well," she said as Ethan slid in beside her. "So do you." The car pulled into traffic, or what was left of it. The streets were nearly empty. Plows worked overtime. The city moved in slow motion. "Ground rules," Victoria said. She didn't look at him. "We met 3 months ago, October 15th, board. Dinner at No Park. You made a comment about the wine pairing. I corrected you. You didn't get defensive. I found that refreshing." Ethan listened. "We've kept it private. You have a daughter, Lily, 8 years old. I've met her twice. She likes me but isn't sure yet. That's realistic, isn't it?" Victoria finally looked at him. "Children are perceptive. They don't trust easily. Neither do you." Her jaw tightened. "We don't broadcast the relationship at work. It's nobody's business. But tonight, my family needed proof that I'm not incapable of connection." The vulnerability in her voice caught him off guard. "Why me?" Ethan asked again. "You could have hired someone. An actor." "I don't trust actors." She turned to the window. Snow streaked across the glass like static. "I needed someone who wouldn't perform. Someone who'd react like a real person. Someone who—" She hesitated. "Someone who's loved someone." Ethan's throat tightened. "I saw your file," Victoria continued. "After Sarah passed, you took 3 months off, came back part-time. Rearranged your entire schedule around Lily. You turned down a promotion because it required travel." She looked at him. "You know what it's like to put someone else first, and you do." The honesty was brutal. "My family thinks I'm broken," she said quietly. "My mother thinks I'm selfish. My brother thinks I'm lonely. My ex-fiancé thinks I'm—" She stopped herself. "Ex-fiancé. He'll be there tonight." Ethan exhaled slowly. "Great. His name is Alexander Reed. We were engaged for 8 months. He wanted me to scale back at work. Said I was choosing the company over us. He wasn't wrong." Her voice was flat, clinical. "He married someone else 6 months ago. My cousin James." "It's fine." "It's not." Victoria's expression didn't change, but her fingers uncurled slightly. "The story is simple. We're dating. It's new but serious. You make me happy. I'm trying." She paused. "Can you sell that?" Ethan thought about the way she'd looked in her office, the way her voice had cracked on the words. "Help me." The way she was holding herself, together now with nothing but sheer will. "Yeah," he said. "I can sell that." The car turned onto 5th Avenue. The Plaza Hotel NYC glowed ahead like a palace in the snow. Victoria reached for the door handle, stopped, turned back to him. "Thank you," she said quietly. "Don't thank me yet." She almost smiled. Then they stepped into the storm. The plaza lobby was a cathedral of marble and gold. Crystal chandeliers the size of compact cars, Persian rugs thick enough to swallow footsteps. A string quartet played Vivaldi near the curved staircase, and waiters glided through the crowd with champagne flutes balanced on silver trays. It was a different world. Ethan's world was Lily's soccer games and grocery store sushi and trying to fix the washing machine with YouTube tutorials. This was wealth that didn't announce itself. It simply existed, unquestioned and absolute. Victoria's hand slipped into his. Her palm was still cold. "Smile," she murmured. "My mother's watching." Ethan followed her gaze. Margaret Bennett stood near the grand staircase, draped in cream silk and pearls. She was 70 but looked 55. Her posture was military straight, and her pale blue eyes locked onto Ethan like a sniper finding her target. She approached slowly, deliberately. "Victoria." No warmth, just acknowledgement. Then her gaze shifted. "And you must be Ethan Carter." "Mrs. Bennett." He extended his hand. She took it with 2 fingers like touching something distasteful. "Yale, I'm told." "Yes, ma'am." "Class of 2009. She released his hand. "And your family?" "Where are they from?" "Pittsburgh. My father was a union electrician. My mother taught elementary school." Margaret's expression didn't change, but the silence said everything. "How grounded," she said finally. Victoria's grip on Ethan's hand tightened. "And you work for my daughter?" "With her," Ethan corrected gently. "I lead the product analytics team." How convenient, Mother Margaret started. I'm simply curious, darling. You've never brought anyone to a family event. Forgive me for wanting to understand who's captured your attention. Margaret smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. You're very selective about where you invest your time. Ethan's different, is he? Before Victoria could respond, a man's voice cut through the tension. Evie, a tall man in his early 40s, approached. Sandy hair, easy smile, navy suit tailored to perfection. He pulled Victoria into a hug that actually looked genuine. James, Victoria said, and her shoulders relaxed a fraction. James turned to Ethan. You're the mystery man. Finally. He shook Ethan's hand with real warmth. James Bennett, the disappointing sibling. He's a professor at Harvard, Victoria said. Constitutional law which pays nothing and impresses no one. But at least I'm not the one running a tech empire and dating an employee. You're definitely the rebel now. Margaret's jaw tightened. We should find our table, she said coldly. The ceremony starts in 20 minutes. She turned and walked away, heels clicking on marble. James winced, subtle as ever. He looked at Victoria. Fine liar. Hang in there. And you? He pointed at Ethan. Survive tonight and you're officially family. In the most horrifying sense, he walked off. Victoria exhaled slowly. I'm sorry, she said quietly. For what? For subjecting you to this? Ethan looked around the ballroom. Guests in designer gowns and tuxedos. A 10-tier wedding cake that probably cost more than his car. A world where people were measured by pedigree and tax brackets. I've faced worse, he said. Like what? Lily's school talent show. 2 hours of off-key recorders. Victoria laughed. Actually laughed. Quiet and sudden and real. And for just a second the fortress cracked. Then a voice behind them. Smooth, confident, familiar to her. Made Victoria's entire body go rigid. Victoria, you look stunning. Ethan turned. The man standing there was perfect. Objectively, undeniably perfect. Tailored tuxedo, sharp jawline, dark hair graying at the temples in that distinguished way. He looked like he'd stepped out of a cologne ad. And the way Victoria was looking at him. This was Alexander Reed, the ex-fiancé, the wound that hadn't healed. Alexander's smile was polished, practiced. The kind that had probably closed 1,000 deals. It's been a while, he said to Victoria. 6 months, she replied. Her voice was controlled. Too controlled, wasn't it? Alexander tilted his head. Feels longer. His gaze shifted to Ethan. And you are Ethan Carter? Alexander Reed. They shook hands. Alexander's grip was firm, competitive. How do you know, Victoria? We're dating. Alexander's eyebrows rose. Just a fraction. Are you? How? Unexpected. Why unexpected? Victoria asked. Because you once told me you didn't have time for relationships. That work came first. That commitment meant compromise. And you didn't compromise. His tone was light, but the words landed like stones. Has something changed? What? Victoria's expression didn't waver. I met someone worth compromising for. Alexander studied. Ethan really looked at him. And what do you do, Ethan? I work at Bennett Innovations. A pause. You work for her, with her? Ethan corrected again. Alexander's smile sharpened. How modern, dating your employee. I'm sure HR loves that. We're transparent about it, Victoria said coolly. Unlike some people, the air between them crackled. Alexander raised his hands in mock surrender. I'm not here to fight, Victoria. I'm happy for you, truly. He glanced toward the ballroom entrance. Claire will be thrilled to hear you've moved on. Claire, the cousin, the woman Alexander had married. Victoria's jaw tightened, but she said nothing. Enjoy the wedding, Alexander said. He paused, looked at Ethan. Take care of her. She's fragile, even if she won't admit it. Then he walked away. Victoria stood perfectly still. Too still, Victoria. I need air. She turned and walked toward the terrace doors. Fast, precise, like she was fleeing a fire. Ethan followed. The terrace was empty. Snow swirled through the air, coating the stone balustrades and wrought iron furniture. The wind bit through Ethan's suit jacket, but Victoria didn't seem to notice. She gripped the railing. He's wrong, Ethan said quietly. About what? You're not fragile. Victoria laughed, bitter and sharp. You don't know me. I know you built a company from nothing. I know you've survived rooms full of men who wanted you to fail. I know you don't cry in front of people except tonight. She turned to face him. Her eyes were glassy again. Do you know why I asked you to come? Tell me. Because Alexander was right? I don't know how to let people in. I don't know how to be soft. I don't know how to be anything other than, she gestured at herself. This controlled, competent, cold. You're not cold. Yes, I am. Then why are you shaking? Victoria looked down at her hands. They were trembling. I used to think strength meant not needing anyone, she said quietly. That if I could just be smart enough, work hard enough, prove myself enough, I wouldn't have to ask for help. I wouldn't have to depend on anyone, and now I'm standing on a terrace in a snowstorm with a man I barely know, pretending we're in love because I'm too scared to walk into that room alone. The honesty broke something open in Ethan's chest. You're not alone, he said. Yes, I am. No, you're not. He stepped closer. Close enough to see the flakes of snow catching in her hair. Close enough to see the exhaustion carved into her face. I lost my wife 4 years ago, he said quietly. Car accident, black ice. She was coming home from a conference. I got the call at 2 a.m. Lily was 4. Victoria's expression softened. For a year I was a ghost, Ethan continued. I went through the motions. Fed Lily, helped her brush her teeth, read her bedtime stories. But I wasn't there. Not really. I was just surviving. What changed? Lily asked me if I was sad because of her. Victoria's breath caught. She thought he was distant because he'd done something wrong, because he wasn't enough. His voice cracked, and he realized he'd been so focused on protecting himself from the pain that he'd forgotten how to be present. How did you fix it? I stopped pretending I was fine. I let her see me cry. I let her ask questions. I let her be scared, and I was scared with her. And slowly, so slowly, we found our way back. Victoria was quiet for a long time. Then softly, I don't know how to do that. Do what? Let someone see me break. Ethan reached out slowly, gave her time to step back. She didn't. He took her hand. You already did, he said. Tonight in your office. A tear slid down her cheek. Then another. Then she was crying. Really crying. And Ethan pulled her into his arms. She buried her face in his shoulder, and he held her while the snow fell around them, silent and relentless. The penthouse was exactly what Ethan expected. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the harbor. Minimalist furniture, sharp lines, neutral colors, nothing out of place. Art on the walls that probably cost more than his salary. Everything curated, everything controlled, everything empty. Victoria kicked off her heels the moment the door closed. Do you want something to drink? She asked. Water's fine. She disappeared into the kitchen. Ethan wandered toward the windows. The city sprawled below, dark except for scattered lights and the glow of snow-covered streets. It was beautiful, cold, lonely. Victoria returned with 2 glasses of water. They stood side by side, looking out at the storm. This is where you live, Ethan said. It's nice, but empty. He glanced at her. I bought it 5 years ago, Victoria said quietly. After my engagement ended, I wanted something that was mine. Something no one could touch. Something I controlled completely. She set down her glass. But it's just space. I work, I sleep, I leave. There's nothing here that makes it home. What would make it home? I don't know. She turned to him. I've never had one. Not really. After my father died, the house felt like a museum. My mother preserved everything. Ethan stepped closer. You can't hold on to people by freezing time, he said gently. You can only love them while they're here. Victoria's eyes filled. I'm so tired of being alone, she whispered. Then stop. I don't know how. Yes, you do. Let me stay. The words hung between them. For tonight? For as long as you'll have me, Ethan. I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm not asking you to have all the answers. I'm just asking you to try. What if I can't? Then we'll figure it out. What if I hurt you? You will. And I'll hurt you. That's what people do. But it doesn't mean we stop trying. Victoria stared at him, tears streaming down her face. I don't deserve you, she whispered. That's not your decision to make. He laughed softly. Broken and wet and real. Then she closed the distance, kissed him. Her hands slid up to his face, his arms wrapped around her waist. For the first time in years, Victoria felt something other than fear. She felt hope. They ended up on the couch, not doing anything, just sitting close. Her head on his shoulder, his hand in her hair. The storm raged outside. The city slept. Inside it was quiet. Tell me about Lily, Victoria said softly. Ethan smiled. She's fierce, smart, funny. She asked me last week if women can be presidents. And when I said yes, she announced she's running in 2048. Victoria laughed. She sounds incredible. She is. She'd like you. How do you know? Because you're not fake. Kids can smell fake from a mile away. Victoria was quiet for a moment. I'd like to meet her, she said. For real? Yeah. Ethan kissed the top of her head. She'll have questions, he said. I know, she'll test you. She might not like me at first. Well, I don't like me most of the time. We'll figure it out. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. I'm scared, Victoria admitted. Of what? Of this, of us. Of wanting something I might not get to keep. That's love, Ethan said quietly. It's terrifying because it's real. And real things can be lost. How do you live with that? You don't, you just love anyway. Victoria closed her eyes. Stay, she whispered. Tonight? Tomorrow? As long as you want. Okay, I don't know what I'm doing. Neither do I. We're probably going to mess this up, but you're staying anyway. Ethan pulled her closer. Yeah, he said. I'm staying. Morning light crept through the windows. Victoria woke to unfamiliar warmth. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then she felt the weight of Ethan's arm across her waist, heard his steady breathing, saw the snow still falling outside. Dawn was soft, gray, and quiet. She turned carefully. Ethan was still asleep, his face relaxed, peaceful. She watched him for a long moment. Then she got up and padded to the kitchen, made coffee. When she returned, he was awake. Morning, he said, voice rough with sleep. Morning. She handed him a mug. They sat by the window, watching the city wake under fresh snow. What happens now? Victoria asked quietly. I don't know. That doesn't scare you? Terrifies me, she smiled. Good, I'd hate to be the only one. Ethan reached for her hand. We'll figure it out, he said. One day at a time. One honest conversation at a time. One mistake at a time. Victoria leaned into him. Outside, New York stretched endlessly white, new and waiting. Inside, two people sat in the quiet morning light. Not perfect, not certain, just real.